Hello, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we are going to talk all about how to set quarterly goals. Setting quarterly goals is so important because a lot of times, I don't know if this happens to you, but for me, I get very overwhelmed when I have this life vision or these goals that I have set for my life, but I don't know how to approach them because they seem so out of reach. So setting quarterly goals really helps us in the breaking down of those bigger goals that we have so that we don't feel overwhelmed by them, and then in that way we are more likely to achieve them. And this is the third video that I've posted regarding how to set goals. I posted a video previously on how to create your life vision and on how to set annually goals. So now we're in the third step of that, which is how to break down those annual goals into quarter goals. In this video, I want to keep it very simple, but I do want to be thorough and I do want to be detailed because I want to make sure that you have the tools necessary to implement this on your own. So I want this to feel like a conversation. I want this to feel like a workshop, like if you and I were together and we were sort of going through this process side by side, so that hopefully you feel less overwhelmed and you really see that this can be a simple and very engaging and fun process. The first step is to have a reflection period. It's very important for us to look back at what we have done, what we have accomplished, what has worked, what hasn't worked, and really have that moment of sitting down and reflecting on our previous goals and where we are now, because that's the only way that we can learn and move forward, having taken in those lessons. So I want to go ahead and lay out some questions that you can ask yourself regarding your goals for the last year or for the last quarter. And if you didn't set any specific goals, these questions will really help you regardless. So I'm going to go ahead and list them out. The first question you want to ask yourself regarding your last quarter or last year is, what were your biggest accomplishments? It's really important to take some time and really pat ourselves on the back and reflect on everything that we have accomplished, because if you're anything like me, you get so down on yourself because you always want more and more and more. And I'm getting better at just sitting back and saying, hey, like I did a lot this year. Maybe I didn't accomplish everything I had set out, but whatever. Like I need to go ahead and be grateful and proud of myself for what I did accomplish. So that is the first step and the first question that you want to ask yourself. The second reflection question that you want to ask yourself regarding your goals for either the last year or the last quarter is, how far did you get with your goals? So this is a good time to just take out that sheet or that vision board or wherever it is that you laid out your goals and just really go one by one and identify how far you got with each. And take a mental note of the things that you did accomplish and the things that you didn't accomplish, and then go ahead and write down a couple of sentences as to what your progress was for each individual goal that you had set out. The next question that you want to ask yourself is, what changes have you made to your goals? So a lot of times throughout the year or throughout the course of a couple of months, we may realize that something that we were pursuing isn't aligned with us anymore. This exercise is important because this is what's going to help us identify what goals we're no longer bringing with us to the next quarter or the next year, and what goals we will be focusing on. So I really encourage you to be honest with yourself. If there's a goal that just isn't aligned with you anymore, don't feel bad. There's a difference between quitting and just identifying who you are, what you stand for, what you like, and how you would like to keep moving forward. And the last question that you can ask yourself for this reflection period is, what were your biggest challenges this last quarter or year? It's important for us to identify any roadblocks, any limiting beliefs, any obstacles that happened along the way, and try to see where they came from. Try to understand why they were blocks to our goal, or try to understand why we started feeling unmotivated. What was the switch? Was there a change in what we were eating, in our routine, and who we were hanging out with? So really think about those difficult moments this past year or quarter, and they don't necessarily have to be bad, right? It's just something that was difficult, something that made you uncomfortable, that pushed you out of your comfort zone. What were they and how did you surpass that? After having this reflection period and asking ourselves those questions, we should have a little bit more clarity as to what it was that worked for us last year, what it was that didn't work for us, what we are leaving behind, and what we are taking with us and moving forward. This is a good time to connect with your life vision, which is the second step. First step was reflect. Second step is connect with your life vision. So this would be your vision board, your vision document, any goals that you have laid out for yourself, any mental images that you have in your head as to what you want your ideal life to look like. This is the moment for you to reconnect with your existing life vision or to create a new one. I recently made a video as to how to create a life vision board. So go ahead and watch that video. It is a detailed walkthrough of how you can set goals for different categories of life. In that video, I talk about 6 specific categories of life. I will go ahead and list them here. They are family, friends, faith, finances, fun, and fitness. So within these categories, in that previous video, I walk you through the process of setting goals. I give you examples of goals that I have set for myself. So you can go ahead and watch that video after watching this one, just so you can have a better idea as to how you can structure your life vision so that it does not seem very overwhelming. And so you have this clear idea of what you want your dream ideal life to look like. It's important to reconnect or to create a life vision after reflecting a little bit on the previous months, on the previous year, because whatever came out of your reflection period is going to guide your life vision. So maybe you're going to make some minor modifications to your vision board or to your goals, or maybe you're going to completely create a new one, or maybe you're just going to create one for the first time after reflecting on last year and realizing, okay, maybe I need a little bit more direction, which is what a life vision provides you with. We've talked about reflection, we've talked about reconnecting with your life vision or creating one, and now we're going to talk about the power of a yearly review. So I also made a video recently on how to break down your life vision into annual goals. So I will go ahead and link that video down below as well for you to reference. And that video that I made about setting annual goals goes super into depth. I give my own examples of my own goals and how I distribute them throughout the year. And the reason I love this exercise is because I need to see a bird's eye view of my goals. I need to have that because it gives me perspective. A lot of times I don't realize that I am overwhelming myself with goals, but once I start writing it out, I can start seeing like which months are more busy than others. You're gonna go ahead and see it all laid out. And I need to remember that I have my entire life, hopefully, God willing, to accomplish my goals. I do not need to cram everything into 1 year. After all, it is a marathon, not a race. Okay, so now step 4 is creating your quarterly plan. So as you can see, it takes steps to get here because your quarterly goals can only be guided by something bigger, and that has to be your compass, which is your life vision. So that is why we need to really make sure we're taking those steps in order to finally set very specific and guided goals for our quarter. In my previous video, I showed you some planner templates that I previously made, and I will go ahead and link them down below so you can go ahead and access my shop. But I also want to let you know that everything that I'm going to say, you can go ahead and just jot it down in a journal if you don't want to use my templates, but just know that that is a resource for you. Here's a quarter planner that I am talking to you about, and it is undated as I've mentioned in other videos. And here is my yearly overview and how I distributed my different goals. I color coded for each category. So pink is one category, red is another, green is another, blue, yellow, orange, etc. I also listed out here the different quarters. So the first quarter, second quarter, third, and fourth. So right now, since we are entering the first quarter, I'm going to go ahead and show you how I would look at these 3 months and break down those goals even further. You may be watching this during other quarters of the year, but the same rules would apply. After the yearly overview, I included the planner breakdowns here so that we always have them accessible. And so let's focus on quarter 1. So here what we're going to do is we're going to have our vision document with us, or a vision board, as well as this yearly overview, because we're going to use both of these things as tools to guide us in laying out our quarter goals. And what I personally recommend, again, is to not overwhelm yourself. You're going to set no more than 3 goals. You can have other smaller goals on the side, but what I would recommend is that you have one major goal that you're going to be working on for that given month, and another like medium goal, and maybe one smaller goal. So what I would do is I would look at my January, February, and March and identify like the main overarching goal, like the thing that is my priority, that maybe it's the one thing that's non-negotiable that I must get done, because otherwise a lot of other things in my life will suffer. So what I realize is my financial goals are the priority for me because I need to make money. This past year was full of lessons, bad partnerships, a lot of things that were my means of attaining money that no longer exist. So for me, that is becoming a loan signing agent. I want to keep a lot of my goals within real estate and within understanding loan documents, and just really make sure that I'm well versed in all of that, since I am a real estate investor and I want to scale my portfolio because I want to be financially independent. So that is a main thing for me, because that's how I'm going to make money, at least part-time. A big chunk of my money is going to come from that. So that is definitely a priority. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go ahead and write that as one of my goals for the quarter. So I wrote down loan signing agent. I need to focus on the course and clients. So I'm going to repeat that process. I'm going to go ahead and look at the goals that I have set out in my yearly overview and identify another common theme and another thing that is just a priority. I have identified as well another overarching theme, and that is YouTube. YouTube is a passion for me. Like, I love talking about this stuff. I always have since I was a little girl. I've been organized and into planners, and it's just a calling in a sense. Like, that's the best way that I can put it. I'm going to set that as a goal and a priority for the quarter. So I went ahead and wrote down grow my YouTube channel. Okay, so let's do this one more time. Okay, so I made a decision. This was hard because I feel like I have so many goals, but this is why we need to like make a pros and cons list and really think about our priorities. So the specific goal that I'm going to write down is fitness related, and it is 5 a.m. workouts. So the reason I selected this as a main goal is because I noticed that this could help me with other categories. So for example, one of my other categories is faith. And for faith, I want to reconnect with myself more. I want to be more introspective. And I included yoga sessions in there, I included journaling, and I included morning meditations. My thought process is that if I wake up at 5 a.m. to get a workout in, I'm gonna have the time to do those things. And I also identified that if I wake up at 5 a.m., I can go ahead and use the extra time that I have to incorporate some of the other smaller non-priority goals that I set out. So for example, I will have more time to make breakfast that I enjoy, or meal prep. And I have here like engage in a hobby, find a hobby, like maybe I can spend more time on that hobby. So I feel like just waking up at 5 a.m. is going to help me with so many of these other goals. And the reason that I want to wake up at 5 a.m. in addition to having more time is because I really want to take my fitness to the next level. I want to get stronger. And during the first quarter, especially January, February, is when everyone's at the gym. Everyone's getting after their New Year's resolutions and things like that, which is great. But also what that means for me is that the gym is always going to be packed in the evening, which is when we usually go. I don't want to deal with the rush of the afternoon fitness session. So that's leading my decision to waking up at 5 a.m. And a byproduct of that is that I'm just gonna have so much more time to fulfill my other goals. So you see how even though my yearly overview looked very hectic and overwhelming, this is why we have different processes, because each step is like a filter or kind of refining of our goals and of identifying our priorities. So this is why every step is very important. So now we're going to further break down the monthly goals of the quarter. So I'm going to start with January. As you can see in this planner template, I have an area for you to list out the focus for that month, which we already have the quarter goals. We're going to then go ahead and identify how to distribute them here. and as well as some space for some action steps as to how we are going to carry that out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and set a focus for each month for each of these goals. Okay, so I just finished breaking down my goals and it's so refreshing. Like, it feels so good. I feel so much clarity. This feeling is why you should do this too. I want to walk you through what I did. So as you saw earlier, I have these 3 very specific goals that I want to focus on in this quarter. Number 1 was LSA, so I need to finish that course. December, I was focusing on some other projects that I needed to finish, but now in January, I want to focus on finishing that course and really getting familiarized with the loan documents. So I made action steps for that. One of my action steps is to make a study schedule, because this will make sure that I'm actually studying. And I wanted to find a way to incorporate my real estate goals. So up here in my January goals, I have real estate meetups, at least once per month. This is why I wanted to focus on LSA, because it ties into real estate so much. Everyone will always need an LSA, a loan signing agent. So I figured that when I'm going to these real estate meetups, I can start networking and letting people know what I do and passing out business cards, so that I just become well known. So while I am learning more about real estate and growing my real estate network, I am also, in a sense, marketing myself. So for YouTube, my goal is to grow my channel, right? So I want to do that by having a regular, consistent schedule, and of course, having any Etsy products that are aligned with those videos. So I need to make a YouTube schedule and really plan out the content, as well as the Etsy product topics that are going to go alongside with those videos. And to grow my YouTube, I also just made an Instagram for my YouTube, so I can just funnel my videos to Instagram and Pinterest to drive more traffic to my YouTube. And then for my mornings, I wanted to go ahead and incorporate the meal preps and, the minimal alcohol that I have here. So I wrote down that I need to just get really good at eating healthy, as well as sleeping early, like having a good night routine. So I want to at least be asleep by 10 and have weekly meal preps. So I make sure that I have a good sense of what I'm eating, and it is helping me grow and get stronger and make use of all the work that I'm putting at the gym. So all of this ties to my quarter goals. And I do want to mention that there are some goals that weren't carried over. So I'll just be a little bit more specific about those and when I'm going to do those things when I am setting my weekly goals. And I also made a planner template for your weekly goals and how you can further break down your annual goals and quarter goals into more specific monthly goals, and then weekly goals, and then even daily goals. So don't you worry if you feel stuck after this. There is always more breaking down that you can do. Okay, so now let me walk you through my thought process of February. I went ahead and looked at my goals here. I wanted to keep the same structure of 1, 2, 3 that each correspond to these quarter goals that I have up here. So that is February. So now let's move on to the final month of the first quarter, which is March. Okay, so here I have LSA part-time. So for YouTube, I want to still focus on my healthy routines and lifestyle. Okay, and finally 5 a.m. I really want to focus on my hobby. So after my workout, which I want to focus on my glutes and my arms, I want to have a hobby that I can do after the gym and I can do at home. So there is my breakdown. Again, I want it to be very detailed. I don't want to bore you with the details, but at the same time, I want to make sure that anyone that is completely lost, doesn't know what to do, needs examples as to what kind of goals to set. I want to make sure that those individuals have that tool and those resources. Thank you so much for watching this video. I greatly appreciate it. I would love if you would subscribe and stick around and become a member of this community. Please like this video if you liked this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.